It's the beginning of the week, and what better way than to join the primetime kings of live stream with the mighty 24/7 Fusion Media, the ever-mysterious Vigilante Williamson, cruising around late at night in Los Angeles with the Hollywood Knights, is Newbomb Turk, and of course, myself, your humble announcer, and fellow co-host Aaron Orman-Tang. So sit back, relax, crack open that nice cold drink, and listen to the Prime Time King.
What's up? It's your host, 24/7, here with my brothers Newbomb Turk and Baron Norman Tag. Hopefully, we'll see Vigilante Williamson before it's all over with. And we are the Primetime Kings. Just wanted to start off by telling everybody out there, all you great, wonderful mothers out there, Happy Mother's Day. You know you guys deal with a lot of shit, but we appreciate y'all. So just wanted to say Happy Mother's Day and thank you to all the wonderful mothers out there.
Why did that intro make me think of Shaft? Like, he's a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. I was like, yo, you guys jumped in at a good time, man.
You're entitled speaker. You're entitled now?
Yeah.
You're entitled.
I'm entitled to speak, yeah.
Oh,
You're right.
I see how it goes.
No, it's all good, man. Shit. I'm just happy as fuck to be here with y'all, man. It's all good.
Yeah, same here.
Man, we got Keely Chow in the house. What's going on, Keely Chow? Hopefully everything's good with you. We got Jason Fox from 540 Studios. Hopefully me and him be doing something Monday or Tuesday. So I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah, Jason's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, he's a good chap.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. We got Penny in the house. Hopefully you're having a great Mother's Day, Penny. You definitely deserve it.
Yeah.
And again, hopefully, everybody's having a good Sunday. I'm just excited to be here, man. I'm just, shit, just got word today that starting about maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere around there, I'll be going back to work, man, finally, man. So
whoa, hey, congratulations, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Working for this, construction company, and they finally landed a contract, and they are trying to get a club put up before the 4th of July. So basically,
wow,
I'll be here. It's basically it's already building up and everything, but we got to go in there. I got a fucking I got this sledgehammer ready to go, man. I'll be doing fucking demolition, taking down walls, and then from there we'll be painting, clean up. There's gonna be other people, doing shit to the walls, taping, floating, putting up sheetrock, doing all kind of shit to get the walls right. There'll be interior designers in there trying to do all kind of shit to make the building look like a club, and got it at least have it right.
This is for the July 4th. Like, it needs to be up and running before July 4th.
Exactly. Right. So basically, by the 1st of July, everything should be in place. So I'm just I'm excited. I'm thankful, but at least I know I'll be working damn near about almost every day once we get started, and
Oh, yeah.
that's and I mean shit. I need the money. Love. Hell, hard work. Never did nothing to me. I love working. It's a part of life, man. You don't. You don't get shit without putting in any effort into it, man.
No.
And I know nothing was ever handed to me. So, if I'm gonna do something, I gotta work hard for it, man. And that's with anything in life. So, I'm just thankful that I'm able to get back to work because, sitting around and waiting to see what's what, man. At waiting time, that shit ain't fun, man. But when things get popping, it's a good thing. So I'll be working here for the next 6 weeks trying to get shit together and for July 1st, and the fact that we'll have consistent work is a blessing, man. So I'm just thankful for that. And so I'll be starting anywhere between Wednesday on. So it's between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when I'll start one of those days. And I'm just excited. So shit.
He'll be singing with the crew. He'll be out there dropping some new beats,
Yeah, man. I'll end up filming a lot of that shit, man. Just doing shorts and different shit. Just like, hey, I'm over here doing this, blah blah blah. And it's a place called Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's basically roughly an hour from where I'm at, outside of Houston. And the only thing I know Beaumont for was just a little story. Fuck it, it's Sunday. I got in a little trouble back when I was a little younger than what I am now. And yeah, I end up doing some time. And it's crazy. I bought like $100 worth of weed and ended up doing 2 years for it, man. So
wow, man.
Yeah, so they ended up shipping me out to Beaumont, where all the fucking jails and prisons are, and I was, your boy was put away for 2 years for $100 worth of weed, man. So, the funny thing is, when that shit happened, they take away all kind of, privileges that you get, for being a citizen. You can't vote. You can't join the police department. I was trying to join the fire department. Couldn't do that because, the record and the whole shit. So, and then from there, just having something on your record. Every time I applied for jobs and other things, I wouldn't get hired. And, it was to a point where, even when like Toys R Us was still open here in Houston, Toys R Us shut down about maybe 9 years ago here. About 8 or 9 years ago, Toys R Us went out of business here in Houston. And but it was like even years before that, I went to apply for a manager's position. I went to 4 interviews, and on the last one, they ran the background check. And just because of that bullshit, they were like, hey, man, you're the perfect candidate. We all love you here, man. But just because of this shit, man, we can't hire you. And, they were like, look, just for you to know what we're looking at, we'll send you a copy of what came up when we pulled up your Social Security and your background. So they sent me. I was thankful for that. That way, when I filled out for jobs and I was turned down a lot because of that bullshit, I knew exactly what they were looking at, and there was no questions of what was what. And that's one thing I have to thank Toys R Us for, was that when they didn't give me the job, they just didn't give me no bullshit like, they liked who I was enough to at least, hey man, let me get your address and we're gonna send you a copy of this of what we're looking at. And they did, and I still have it, man. Luckily for me, about 3 weeks ago, they changed the laws in Texas to where what it was, for $100 back then, I was able to buy, I smoke weed, so fuck it. This is just being straight up. For $100 in Houston, I was able to buy 4 ounces of weed. And not to talk drug talk or no bullshit, but the thing is, if you buy them separately, they're $50 each. And if you buy 4, I was getting charged $100. So you do the math. I was like, well, fuck. Why am I gonna spend $50 for each one when I can spend $100 and get 4?
Right.
But the fact that
it's probably a hell of a lot more weed than you can get now for $100.
Right. Exactly. It could. Of course, it was early 2000s and all that shit. And so what happened is, since it was 4 ounces, they hit me with a felony for that. It wasn't no distribution, no selling, no nothing. It's just possession. But they hit me with a felony, and that stood with me ever since. So, it sucks, but that's why a lot of my jobs, after a while, I was like, fuck it. Let me, I was, doing, I was working as a manager for a moving company, and they had a lot of people that had felonies working for moving companies. As long as you don't disrespect the company, as long as you don't disrespect the customer, and you have your shit in order, this moving company would give you a chance. They gave me a chance. I ended up working my way up to becoming a truck manager, which means I had like my own crew, and we go out and do moves, and I had like 3 or 4 guys up under me, and and that worked out until I became a bouncer. And then, as long as you can fight and keep a level head and you can handle yourself, then, they didn't give me the runaround because of my record, so,
right.
And, I was thankful for those kind of jobs, but, at the same time, it was a headache. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, they passed a law throughout all of Texas that anything that's 4 ounces or below will now be charged as a misdemeanor. So,
right.
So it's funny because about 3 days ago in the mail, I fucking get my first voters thing, and I've never been given a fucking chance to vote. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, now I can vote. So, so basically, like, the privileges that I've been, couldn't have enjoyed, going into adulthood or whatever, because that shit happened, by the time I was fucking like 21 or whatever, so it's like basically, all this time I haven't been able to vote, do shit. Now I fucking got my first voters deal, and I was fucking looking at it this morning like, oh shit, this is what this looks like.
Just wait, they'll start sending you to jury duty.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Well, I know, right? But that's
you should. But I'm reading the chat here. You should look into what Das Wolfen is saying. There is a process. There's paperwork that you need to fill out to get stuff like that expunged, especially after the laws have been changed.
Right.
You may want to, and it usually doesn't cost anything just to get kind of an idea, but hook up with a lawyer that deals with that kind of stuff, like expunging records and
right.
And just ask them, like, hey, what paperwork do I need to fill? Where do I go? What paperwork do I need to fill out? And they usually are pretty good with just like, yeah, go to the courts, go to this office, ask for these particular forms and fill them out. And they usually don't charge you just for that kind of advice.
Right. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it. It was just funny because I've never been sent any kind of anything. So my whole thing is, why would they, unless, I don't know, I can vote now. So I was like, I mean, don't let me vote for the president. I've never been able to do that. I'm putting my vote in, and it's not going to be for old dipshit Biden. I can tell you that right now.
All right.
He's a fucking, I'm sorry, y'all, but nah, he ain't catching my vote, man. That's all I'm saying. I ain't gonna go no deeper than that, but he ain't catching my vote, man. So yeah, that's
he keeps saying he's gonna run, but I don't know if he's gonna make it that far.
You know what?
He's
To be
going
honest,
to run, or he has to runs.
yeah, I could see him doing that. Something happening, and guess who'll be our fucking first fucking president?
Well, I'm saying once they go into the elections, because once you get to the point where they start actually winding up for the elections, you're a lame duck president at that point anyway, unless you get reelected. Right. So even if something were to happen to him, she'd be just a lame duck fill-in until the voting is actually gone through.
Right. Or but I could actually see it to where he, let's say he runs, let's say he wins. I could see something happening to him after he becomes president again, and boom. Again, that's why I say, guess who will become president if his health declines or whatever, and who will see it be the first black president that hold the whole nine. I
just don't see that him lasting that long. Like in the rate that he's declining right now, he could never make it through the primaries. Like, you have to debate people.
Well, you hear what they want to do.
Never be able to do it.
What they want to do is not have a primary; just have them go in there. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is all pissed off about that.
Yeah, and that's baloney. That should not happen. Yeah. Like,
no.
The fact that there is somebody else that wants to run should force the issue into a primary. And if he checks all the boxes, not that I'm necessarily a Kennedy fan, but if he checks all the boxes, you have to let him run. You can't just fucking push him to the side and say, no. Mm-hmm. That happens too often on both sides, where it's like, nope, we're going to have this guy run. And it's like, no, but you've got better candidates here that, you need to have some sort of, to find out where everybody's at.
Right.
Some sort of debate. And that motherfucker couldn't make it through 2 questions. He wouldn't be able to answer his own name.
Right.
And that also goes if they do go with Kamala Harris a second time. He doesn't need to have the same vice president. They could be giving something else up. Who knows?
Well, and in all honesty, everybody was all kinds of up in arms when he chose her in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I mean, honestly, what have you heard from her other than stupid shit?
What's funny? The funny part about that is she actually, in the last month or two, she's starting to pop back up.
Yeah,
so but it's who's the one bringing her up? 9 times out of 10, it's somebody on the other side of the aisle saying, "Look at how dumb this idiot is."
Right,
and it's like, okay, but if you stop talking about her, she'd go away again. Like, you talking about her has brought her back into the spotlight.
Yeah,
people don't understand that. Like, the more you yell about something, the more focus you put on it. And that could be in a good way or a bad way.
Right. Hey, thank y'all, everybody that telling me congrats on voting. It'll be my first time ever being able to vote, for anything. So, appreciate y'all for that, man. You just, it's kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. And the fact that something came in with my name on it and I can vote now, it's like I'm definitely not gonna pass up that opportunity to fucking put my bid in the hat, see what how it all shakes. I'm these kind of things are important, especially, to be honest, ever since I joined the fandom, been here with everybody, joined the fellowship. I'll be honest, growing up, I didn't give a fuck about politics. It's just whatever, and ever since, it's been about good 6-7 years that I've been here and been a part of this. Only then till, politics and bullshit started infiltrating, and the all parts of entertainment. It don't even matter what it is: comic books, video games, TV shows, movies, Sesame Street. It don't even matter. Like, and I've said it before, from babies, toddlers, all the way up to us and beyond us. There's been all kind of shit that's been affected, and all this bullshit plays a part in all of that. And it kind of made me wake up and see what this bullshit is for what it is. And you know, and I've been on the sidelines just watching. You know, I couldn't vote, couldn't do anything. All I can do is just sit there and watch. But I've gained enough, you know, enough knowledge from you guys. You know, everybody seeing how everything was going down, and it woke me up. Now I'm paying attention, and it's been the first time in my life. And now I can actually cast a vote and hopefully make a difference. And fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm just letting y'all know. And again, I'm not voting for Biden. So whoever the fuck's better than him, yo, you catching my vote, man. You know what I'm saying? For real. So that's, you know, and I don't think that I'm, you know, Republican or Democrat or anything like that. I'm just trying to go for the best man that can do the fucking job, and it ain't him.
Right.
So anybody that's better than him, yeah, I'm gonna be watching to see who can do it and who can. But fuck that. He ain't catching my vote, man. Not Biden. So, but thank y'all, man. I mean, I appreciate y'all, man. James Jackson, thank you, Socks, man. You know, New Bomb, Baron, everybody in the chat, man. Thank y'all, man. Just you know, these things are important. And you know, when I was younger, I didn't give a shit because I didn't think, you know, if I could have voted, you know, when I was younger, I would have thought, because I know me, I would have thought that, hell, man, you know, my vote wouldn't count. But fuck that, man. You know, it's, you know, shit's important out there, man. And you know, and just think there's a lot of people that feel that way, that when it comes to voting, they think that, hey, you know, even if I have the opportunity to vote, what the fuck is it worth? Because, you know, more than likely, you know, some dipshit is going to be the guy that is going to go into office, not the guy that I voted for. So what difference will my vote make? But fuck that, man. Now that I'm older, you know, I'm just like, shit, I'm going to vote, man. I gotta be a part of the process. Plus, I don't know what the fuck it feels like. I want to know, you know, so I'm going to fucking cast my vote. So I'm going, man.
Yeah. I will say this though, and that's both sides of the aisle. The president hasn't been much more than a figurehead for past 60 years or more. Like it's never about the guy you see on TV. It's the cabinet that he builds behind him. And it was never more evident than the differences between Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. Jr. was an idiot. For all intents and purposes, Jr. was a big dumbass, but his cabinet was competent enough to keep him just enough out of trouble, barring some events, and I won't get into those here because there's a lot of opinions on some of those.
I understand,
but like you look at it, and it's never the dude in front of him. Now, the only reason it's become much more evident now is because the cabinet that Biden built was a disaster from the jump.
Right.
And it's been nothing but a disaster, a constant turnstile of people coming in like, hey, here's our new energy guy. Oh, he wears dresses and steals women's luggage. Well, okay, we'll get rid of him. And then, you know, we bring in these influencers into the White House. Why? Well, because they're influencers. We can pay them and they can shift people towards us. Like all these, like the Gen, whatever they are now, Z. Yeah. The Gen Z 2 dudes that are just like, every video they make is just screaming at the camera about how Republicans are so bad. And it's like you just make yourself look like a complete idiot when you're doing that. And I don't know if you've seen it earlier. Somebody had reposted it on Twitter. Some guy had taken one of their like long rant videos where he was like so wound up. He was kind of like taking big breaths in between some of his words. And he cut it all down into a dance beat. So it was just the breaths in between the words as a dance beat. And it was absolutely hilarious. Because he was just like the whole fucking thing with a drum beat in the background. I was like, what the fuck?
It sounds like he beatboxing.
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, like, what the hell?
Like, damn, Biden joined the Fat Boys.
Right? Well, it wasn't even Biden. It was just like Gen Z or whatever. The
Oh,
ones
the
that are
Gen
bitching
Z,
about
right.
guns. You know, the ones that have been bitching about guns and all that.
Yeah.
They're like barely 20 something. And then somebody showed the proof that they were getting paid by the Biden administration. So all their ranting was for nothing. Like, it's dumb. But it was funny watching that video of him just taking breaths.
Man, appreciate you guys, man. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Sock,
and
James.
Sock says that like Bush Jr. was a warmonger. No, Bush Jr. was an idiot. His cabinets was full of warmongers. Like that was, again, he wasn't making those decisions. It was his cabinet and the Pentagon making all of those decisions, and the CIA eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, but and then you look from him to Obama,
Right.
and it was the same thing. It was his cabinet and mostly the CIA at that point that was hiding everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, you know, to be honest, man, during all the presidencies that I've seen, it's unfortunate, you know, with me, man. I'm just glad that at some point, you know, it took for, I guess, for the things, you know, for the things that I love the most, you know, to enjoy and everything, to be under full blown attack, for me to fucking wake up, man, at some point. And I guess, you know, it had to take, you know, the music industry and the entertainment industry, as far as like movies, and then, you know, everything, man. Like, to be honest, you know, growing up, look, I grew up poor, man. I grew up, you know, no bullshit, man, wearing my brother's clothes like when he couldn't fit it. You know, that shit was tossed down to me, except for shoes, but, you know, shirt, you know, except for shoes, socks, and underwear, everything else. But like t-shirts, you know, shirts and jeans and shorts, all that shit was passed down to me. You know, I grew up on welfare. You know, I remember, you know, we're living in the South Bronx. You know, there was a school down the street called PS 90. You know, over in the South Bronx. I used to live on 156th Street between Sherman and Sheridan, across from the old Yankee Stadium by the Grand Concourse. You know, and I remember have to go to school and, you know, stand in a long line with, you know, getting the actual food stamps, not no card, but the actual paper stamps.
The old little green stamps.
We get the government, we get the government honey, the fucking powdered milk, the fucking big slab of fucking cheese that was too good to be true. You know, and I remember we used to get macaroni and cheese where the box was white and it said mac and cheese in bold black letters, and then the fucking cheese would be this orangey ass shit that you'd have to mix with water, powder, and you know, you have to mix with hot water. And man, I said, man, that shit was garbage, man. And I remember just having to eat all that, and you know, it's so.
Well, and the funny thing about the mac and cheese, like, that wasn't any different than the Kraft. Like, if you bought Kraft macaroni and cheese
back then
in the 70s and 80s,
right,
it was literally boxed at the same facility.
Yep.
They just had two production lines, one that was Kraft and one that was No Name. Because back then, almost everything had a No Name equivalent to it. I remember the beer. The beer was hilarious. White can, black lettering, and it just said beer. And that was it.
You wait a minute. You telling me they had beer?
Yeah. No, it wasn't stuff that you could get on green stamps.
No,
but it was, you know, all this no name stuff. Aisles and aisles of no name stuff. And it was just, you know, whatever it was in black lettering in a white box. You know, cereal. Corn flakes, and it literally just
I remember. I remember that shit, man. Seeing the off-brand, you know, corn flakes and Fruit Loops and shit like that. Yeah, for the first time, I was like, damn. And it would be just a plain fucking no monkey, no rabbit, no bullshit on the package. It was just like a fucking one color package with, you know, they call it you know, Fruity O's or some stupid shit. You know, they might change the name up a little bit so they don't get fucking sued or whatever. But
they still have that stuff.
Yeah.
Alternate name shit. I can remember cigarettes being
cigarettes came in a white package.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah, I had no idea, man. I guess that was before, man. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking. That was probably late 70s, early 80s, right at the height of all the no-name stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember all of that.
Around our area, it was actually not white boxes, but we had yellow boxes.
Yeah, I remember seeing yellow stuff too.
I ain't never seen no yellow box. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the same. It was just a yellow box with black lettering. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I remember everything being just a white with just the bold black letters, and then the powdered milk. Fuck.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember Mom trying to put, man. To be honest, man, we drunk tap water, man. That's how fucking poor we were, man. So, I remember her putting, I remember her putting tap water to that powdered milk, and then stir that shit up and just give it to me like here, and then you had to take that shit and fucking pour it over cereal, man. Like, fuck? Man, dude. Oh man,
better off with just the water on the cereal.
Amen.
Damn. Yeah, man. That's ooh.
Yeah, it's great. I remember all of that shit. And I also remember as a kid, and I'm talking like late 70s. I was right into early 80s. I was like 10 years old in 81. And my mom handed me a 20 and saying, "Go give me a carton of cigarettes." And I'd walk up to the corner where CVS was, walk in, need a carton of cigarettes for my mom. And they're like, "All right, hand me a carton of cigarettes." They'd pay with the 20, and it would be more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
And get change back and take the cigarettes and the change back. Yeah.
Yeah,
I never even thought twice about that.
I used to do the same thing. My mom used to smoke fucking Benson and Hedges. Yeah, the gold pack. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I remember walking into the store with the fucking food stamps, and they would actually give me food stamp money back along with real change.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like fucking playing Monopoly, man. Like, yo, I'm exchanging paper money for paper money.
Mm-hmm.
And but I better come back with correct change and and not play no games, because moms she'd beat that ass real fast. So
I need that change, damn it.
Yeah, for real, man. Yo, that's wild, man. But yeah, man. Thank you, Das Wolfman, Monkey Jeebus. What's up, ZBR? Hephaestus, my brother. Thank y'all for being here. And Socks, man, I love you guys, man. I love all you guys. Thank y'all, man. Yeah, so, yeah, man. I know, shit, we've been talking for about 30 minutes about this crazy shit, but, just, I'm just thankful, man, that, past those times, but, that's, that kind of bullshit is what makes us who we are. The thing is even though you're trying to achieve some things, do better in life, you don't ever forget what it was like to fucking stand in line with moms and run to the corner store to fucking buy cigarettes with fucking food stamps and all that bullshit, and drinking powdered milk, and eating shitty mac and cheese, and all that. But I love the honey, though. The honey and the fucking cheese. That was the best thing, man. And
and it's weird too, because like you look at how it is now,
right?
Like I can remember a while back before I left Buffalo, and I was going out. I think it was a Friday or a Saturday. And I had to stop at a grocery store to get something before my eventual destination. And I see this family in front of me going through, and they're paying with food stamps and whatever. Right. And I'm looking at what they're buying, and I'm like, how the hell did you get that package of steak on food stamps? Like back in the day, you couldn't buy certain things. Like you could get. There were certain foods that were tagged for the food stamps that you get, necessities kind of stuff. Outside of that, you weren't grabbing your hands on any 4-pack of fucking sirloin. you never had that chance. They would just tell you, no, you got to pay that with cash.
Right.
Right. And then watching this family go through, and they're fucking crab legs and fucking steak and all this shit. And I'm like, what the hell? So I get through and I buy the one thing that I'm waiting to buy, and I end up basically behind them as they go out, and there they go loading their fucking all their green stamp shit, which is now just a card that you swipe, into a brand new Caravan, like fully loaded. And I'm like, I'm driving around in this 81 Rabbit that I paid $500 for. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are eating steak and driving a brand new fucking Caravan. And it hadn't paid a dime truly for any of it.
Yeah, you're the one that was paying for it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, but now, okay, so Sock says the alcohol thing. I do remember that too, but they did put a stop to that. And honestly, I think that was the right decision. Alcohol was never a necessity.
No.
And I don't think they should have had the access to buy booze, because then they just blow the fucking food stamps on booze.
Yeah. I mean, if they're already addicted to it, all you're doing is, help them out.
Feeding the addiction, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Knowing some people, they'll be so irresponsible that they'd fuck around and, they'll have kids and all kinds of shit. But instead of buying food and all the necessities, they'll sit there and buy alcohol and then feed the kids, shit.
Dirt.
While they sit around and get fucked up,
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even just foster parents. I mean, some
real parents.
Some of them, they'd have you'd have the mom by herself with like 7 kids and like
a shitty ass boyfriend.
Well, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
But none of the kids were his.
Right.
Were all different baby daddies. It was a fucking disaster. Always has been. Not to sound fucked up, but to be honest, I remember, again, growing up being on, and it was like, my mom had me and my brother, and she had her dudes, and they come in and live it up with the food stamps and all kinds of bullshit, and then dip out, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, it's like, we weren't his kids, but he felt like he was mooching off of moms and, trying to live it up or whatever. And, it's bullshit, man. Like, I seen the flip side of that shit when you see it in movies and TV shows. Like it was like, we basically had like a fucking stepdad that was a, piece of shit, fucking, yeah, man, just, had all the say so in the house, and to the point where he had the ability to kick our ass and the whole shit. So
right,
yeah, I remember. Yeah, that whatever, man. Yeah, I remember that bullshit. But a lot of us, that's the same story with a lot of us, man.
Well,
and then there was a lot of us that a lot of people that were fortunate enough to have mom and dad and stuff like that, and that's
right,
and that was a harder thing to keep up, because having a relationship isn't easy. But man, when you have mom and dad trying to tough it out, regardless of what the issues are, that was a harder thing to do. And it's always easy to walk away from shit, it's harder to stick around to make shit last, especially nowadays, man. I remember 10 years ago, people were saying that when it comes to marriage, within maybe a 2-year, this was 10 years ago, like within a 2-year time period, people would get divorced.
Oh yeah.
So if that was what people were talking 10, 15 years ago, what the fuck is the rate now of people getting married and actually getting a divorce? If it was 2 years, 10 or 15 years ago, is it a year now?
Well, I mean, it depends on the people, obviously.
Right.
You know, it's a double-edged sword in some respects. Like, I know that my parents toughed it out to make sure that there was, you know, both a father and a mother for myself and my sister, to the point where, you know, I can remember my mom being just insanely difficult to deal with for a while. And, you know, it is what it is. Like back then, they didn't get divorced. So how many of those relationships affected the kids growing up because mom and dad were at each other's throats 90% of the time?
Yeah, stayed together, but all you saw was like War of the Roses, mom versus dad, and this motherfucker. Yeah, you know, and then you'd be like, damn, you know, they'd be better separated than together, and all they do is fight and try to kick each other's ass, you know.
Right.
Shit. Sock says, does anyone remember when Bush Jr. News conference when I remember that shit when the guy threw the fucking shoe at him. That was fucking crazy. Yeah, he got arrested fast. But yeah, I remember that shit. I'm you know, it's funny. I didn't give a fuck about politics then, but I remember how the Secret Service rushed the fuck out of him at that point.
Oh yeah.
He shit. You know, it's funny. What the fuck ever happened to that dude? You know, it's funny. Socks, you're gonna make me Google.
It just disappeared.
Yeah. Wow. You know, he's probably out now, man. You know, for that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a dangerous threat throwing a shoe. You know, he may have spent, you know, maybe up to 6 months in jail. Who knows? But like that just disappeared. Nobody gave a shit.
Hey, let me ask you this: for something like that, you think he'd have went to federal?
Well, I mean, for that type of interaction, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm about
if
to
it
say,
had been a local official, he probably would have went.
Yeah. He'd have went to local. Yeah, but you fucking throw something at the president, I think you'd probably doing some Fed time at that point, man.
Oh yeah, you're going Leavenworth. You're going to Leavenworth.
Right. Hey, it's funny. Sock says, "Wait, government cheese is real." You know what?
Yeah.
Now, you guys see if my assessment is right. Wouldn't government cheese be the equivalent of American cheese?
Yeah.
That's and then, yeah. So,
but it wasn't always. Like,
whoa.
Like somebody else had mentioned in there that it was Velveeta. It depends on, you know, where you were, what state you were in, and you know, like I can remember seeing friends of mine, like, and that's what they got was a block of Velveeta.
Right. Well,
no name Velveeta, but Velveeta nonetheless.
You know, I remember, like basically the equivalent of what I tried when I was growing up eating that shit was American cheese. Like you can get it cut off the block, you know, at your local deli.
Yeah.
And the American cheese is exactly what I would get, you know, from welfare. So, and I know what the difference is with Velveeta. And, you know, and Kraft is somewhat similar to Velveeta. What I had growing up was more like American cheese. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was American cheese. Because I grew up, you know, like I stopped eating shit cheese about, this had to be 10 years ago. No, this is the thing. When it comes to cheese, I started realizing that Kraft, Velveeta, and all that shit was more of your pasteurized, your you know, your cheese that, you know, you can get wrapped in those individual slices and all that bullshit with the cellophane plastic wrap on there and all that. And I started realizing that cheddar, Swiss, you know, right, Munster and all that was the real cheese. And so basically, you know, I grew up thinking that Kraft and Velveeta was really the shit to eat, and I was wrong like a motherfucker. So 10 years ago, when I wised up to it, I stopped eating all that shit, and now I couldn't. Man, I got to have sharp cheddar, or just, you know, cheddar or Swiss or provolone or you know, Havarti, or I have to have something real. I can't eat Kraft and Velveeta and
you can get like American in general is not necessarily Velveeta, Kraft, whatever, even though they claim they are American cheese. There are two types of American. You have the sharp cheddar kind of American, which is orange, much more distinct.
Right.
And then you have the more pale kind of yellow or white, they call it white cheddar, which is a white American, which is, it leans more towards the provolone mozzarella.
Right. And the one that I ate, the one that I ate was more of what you said. The second one was it wasn't the yellow. It was like a bland yellowish kind of, and you can tell that. Yeah. So I think what I was eating was real American. And since then I've had American cheese and I was like, yo, this is, when I eat that shit, I'm like, this is exactly what I ate when I was a little kid. So, man, I love that. You guys are about to make me go to the fucking store.
See, and now if I make burgers at home,
right?
I'm like I'm pretty particular. I have a fairly narrow, palate when it comes to food,
right?
But I'll typically get some bacon, some really good barbecue sauce, and some provolone, and make a burger that way. Just make a barbecue burger.
Man,
there we go.
There you go, brother. You come on, man. Stop. What's up, Zax? Das Wolfen, Monkey Jeebus, man. You guys, appreciate y'all, man. Damn, you guys are funny as shit. Yellow box always saved. Zach says, "What's up, Kings? Appreciate you, man. Thank you." Yeah, we sitting here. Fuck, we just going off the cuff at this point.
Yeah, just one of those days. I think.
Old man mentions about the shoe throwing and how it in the Arab world it's like really disrespectful to throw a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Every different group or different culture in the world has one like expression or movement that is like the most disrespectful thing. In Japan, it's spitting into your own hand. Like, you're not worth my spit, basically.
Right.
Like, I could spit at you, but I'd rather spit into my own hand because you're not worth it. And that's the insult, basically. You're not worth the time.
What about some of them is that you take off the glove and do like a backhand slap? What's that?
Yeah,
isn't that in the UK?
Yeah, but not even currently. That's more like
that was an old school kind of disrespect. You take off that one glove and fucking slap somebody with that shit,
like Victorian England kind of thing,
right? And then another
were prominent,
right? And then another one is a backhand slap. Period.
Yeah. It's you're disrespecting the person in a way that's, you're basically calling them less than what they are. So if it's another man, like you're not worth me balling my fist up. I'm just gonna backhand you like a woman.
Right, exactly.
Of course, now it's the other way around, and women jump in the ring with men, and men beat their ass.
Oh boy, it's funny. I've been watching a shitload of that on YouTube, man.
Mm-hmm.
Been watching women get fucking demolished, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
and it's like
that one trans MMA fighter.
Oh,
that was
kicking all those women's ass.
Right, he was like cracking skulls, like to the point of it getting dangerous. Finally lost to a woman. And,
when was this?
That woman kick was within the past couple months or so.
Yeah, I need to watch that shit.
And she got her ass beat, like the trans person.
He
got his ass beat. But yeah, like it was not even a question. Like it wasn't even a decision at the end of the fight. It was legit. They tapped out because they were just getting their ass beat.
Right. It's funny. No, I'm looking at the chat. And Jeeva says I still use tap water to cook things, even though I have bottled water. And it's
I
funny.
do that all the time too.
Zach says I just chugged a giant glass of tap water and I feel fine. Look, man, in New York.
Yeah, you'd never do that in New York.
Yeah, it's like, it was like, dude. I mean, and it was before they even had like the purifying, but actually they had that, but man, you come on, if you're on welfare, you can't afford not even the purifying thing to where they used to hook it up to the sink.
Yeah,
they like that shit was expensive as fuck, man. So. And to be honest, bottled water wasn't even a thing back then.
No, not at all.
So it was just like the water you got, but then I don't know, man. I just
Well, yeah, I mean, there were some places like you'd pour a glass of tap water, and all you had to do was hold it up to the light, and it was just like, ooh.
You see all kind of shit floating in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And out here, I wouldn't say I live in Arizona, and I don't drink any tap water.
I'm here in Houston, and I mean, just 4 days ago, they were like having a boil water something's wrong with the water. You might have to start boiling that shit for the next few days. Like, fuck.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, they call it a boil water notice. Fuck that.
Yeah.
It's like,
or you could be like the Navy, and on a carrier they accidentally mixed one of their jet fuels in with the water supply and didn't tell anyone. So you had soldiers toppling over, getting all sick because there was trace elements of like JP3 or some shit in the fuel.
Man, I would have sued the fuck out of them. I wouldn't give a fuck if they would have kicked me out or whatever. I just would have been. There's a lawyer just fucking drilling the fuck out. Yeah, man.
Definitely a class action lawsuit on that one because it was a whole carrier of people. It wasn't like a tiny incident where a couple of people got sick. It's like you're talking thousands of people got sick.
Holy shit. What's up, Zax?
And if you've ever been anywhere near actual jet fuel, like you can't mistake it. Like what it is as soon as you smell it. And like dudes are like smelling the water and being like, what the fuck?
Right, man. Damn.
At least you don't have to worry about that 24.
Yeah, I know, right? Shit.
Right?
I mean,
and when I was in, we were using JP5, which is the same stuff that they throw into the jets topside. We were using that on a frigate for our gas turbines. And like if you had a fuel leak and you had to shut down and repair it,
right,
and you went into the engine room and there was JP5 everywhere, you couldn't be in there for more than 5 minutes. Like you just get super lightheaded and pass out. Because it was a closed environment. Yeah, but you had to rotate in and out to fix the whatever was leaking, and it was horrible. But I've never had anything worse than having to clean a bird out of a jet engine.
Oh God!
Oh wow!
And they do some. I mean, it's like a grenade going off. They do some fucking damage.
Oh yeah, bird strikes are not a joke.
Yeah, well, I mean that's like on a plane. Like we had, like if you looked at topside, you had air intakes that had grates on them, and over time, shit happens. It's like a grill on a car. Eventually it's going to start wearing down and either falling off, or one nut is going to fall loose and it's going to open up and a bird to get in there, and it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's like somebody having the power shits, but the power shits are all blood.
Oh,
like it shoots out everywhere. and it goes through the exhaust. So you have to clean all the way back up the top side, clear the exhaust out. It's fuck. It's such a mess.
Yo, what's up, Monkey Jeebus says I'm just spending my birthday modding my Conan figures with armor I bought yesterday. Yo, it's your birthday, man.
Well,
Jeebus, happy birthday, man.
Right.
Nah, Jeebus is awesome, man. I love Jeebus, man. He's fucking awesome, man. He's a great guy, man. Has man, his taste in music. Look, Jeebus can pull some shit out. He can pull some shit out of somewhere. And he has his knowledge of music is fucking unbelievable, man. Jeebus, his man, that's the man right there. When it comes to music, he knows all kind of shit that leave DJ stumped when he's requesting songs and shit. And I've seen him do it, man. Jeebus is the man. Hey, happy birthday, brother. You definitely deserve a great birthday, man. And if today's your birthday, and happy birthday to you, man, for real.
And many more. Definitely.
And shit, many more, brother. Thank you, man. The old man, that's my man. That's my man right there, man. Great guy, man. Shit, miss you, old man. Glad to have you back here, man. Cleanser, what's up, boy? Missed you too, man. Hopefully everything's good with you. He says it's funny because Das Wolfen is like, yo, give me sharp, really stinky cheddar or a nice A Swiss. Yeah, man, baby Swiss. Holy shit.
Baby Swiss.
Ooh, that motherfucker there. Softer than a baby's ass. Yeah, baby Swiss is good, boy. I love that shit, man. Glenzer says, if you like it sharp and tart, goat cheese. You know what? I never had that. Mm-hmm. Anybody ever get goat cheese?
Yeah, the old man.
Oh shit! You just got told on. Say, hey, Turk. You know the diff. You know what's up between Baron and the old man?
No,
that's his father, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, no bullshit. Yeah, he fucking love him. Yeah, the old man. Oh man, fucking love him, man. Fucking yeah, man. He's fucking awesome, man. He says, wait a minute. He says,
the shoe throw. That was the comment that I brought up.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Shit,
yeah.
Oh man, that's an awesome dude, man. I can't wait to stream with him, man. Baron hasn't introduced put us together on a live stream, shit.
You never been on a stream with him?
No, because whenever you stream with the old man, you never sent me an invitation, man. So,
called out.
Yeah, so
when I've had my open mics.
I tell you what, when you get your open mic started again, and you get things back on track, you get the old man back on. Just give. And I love to join y'all, man.
You got it. No worries. For some reason, I thought you guys have streamed together at least once.
Oh no! I mean, shit. I mean, we DM each other and everything. But as far as doing a live stream, nah, and never done a live stream with him, man. But I've watched the live streams you've done with him. He's fucking hilarious, man. Man, he's a trip, man. He gives it to you straight, man. He don't bullshit.
I got to bring this up real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
One of the guys I follow responded to Critical Drinker about The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's filmography. Mm-hmm. Critical Drinker said, The Rock's filmography is like looking through your wallet and seeing nothing but fast food receipts. You went there, but you can't really remember any of them.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
Which I agree. I mean, he tried so hard and did so many movies so quickly that they tend to blur together, and you just get he's not playing any individual character. He's playing The Rock in a movie.
Right.
And the only ones you really set apart were if you look like Scorpion King, sort of, but he was still just The Rock. But he did a remake of I I gotta remember the name of the original movie.
Witch Mountain?
No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't a Disney movie. I'm not talking.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. Because I have the original Witch Mountain. Actually, which the original Witch Mountain was a two-parter. They had
Yeah,
from the original Disney cast from what, the 60s, and
Yeah,
I have that. And then I remember
that's
when
the
the
one.
Rock.
Das Wolfen just brought it up. Walking Tall.
I forgot you
yeah.
did that.
That one and Faster were actually two really good
Faster
movies.
was good too. Yeah, Faster.
But it wasn't necessarily because of him. It was because of the supporting cast in Faster, specifically. It was Billy Bob Thornton was in Faster, and Billy Bob Thornton played a really good character. That, I mean, you may have seen the flip coming, so to speak, or the twist, but it didn't matter because it was just still good. Like, you knew he was a bad cop from the jump,
right.
but it didn't matter. Like, the ending still worked.
Let me ask you something, man. Now that you bring it up, is Faster, and I think I might have this wrong because I own every Rock movie, but man, some of his best shit was at least 10 years ago, man.
Easy.
And so let me ask you this: was the one is Faster the one movie where he was trying to get revenge for his brother?
Yeah.
Oh, that motherfucker! Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, and Walking Tall, because I remember the first Walking Talls was from the 70s or 80s, and I have
70s,
those.
Joe Don Baker.
Yeah,
Don Baker. Yeah.
And then after that, I remember Kevin Sorbo doing it.
Oh, I don't even remember.
I own those. There's Kevin Sorbo from Hercules did one or two Walking Tall movies, and I own those. So if you look up the whole Walking Tall franchise, you'll see that it was the guy that Baron just mentioned. It was Kevin Sorbo, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if Kevin Sorbo was before or after The Rock, but for as far as the whole Walking Tall series of all the movies combined, it's been 3 actors so far, and it was the guy that Baron mentioned, The Rock, and Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, Joe Don Baker.
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo was 07.
See, yeah, I own that too.
And The Rock was 04. So yeah, it was after The Rock.
Yeah, it was after. Yeah, exactly, man.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, you come down to, like, when you get to the point of Kevin Sorbo. Not to say that Kevin Sorbo is necessarily a bad actor. You know what I mean, though. Like, there's a sharp decline in the quality of film as you start to go down. Not necessarily because of Kevin Sorbo, but when you're paying The Rock for an 04 film,
right,
and then you're paying Kevin Sorbo for an 07 film,
right?
Yeah, there was a decline somewhere, and I'm sure that was across the board. Writing and whoever the director was and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, that's funny. That's what's up, man. Oh shit.
And Kevin Sorbo, that was New Bomb Turk, not Baron Tag. That's it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think he'd necessarily disagree. I mean, he's a based enough individual. He'd be like, no, I'm not The Rock. I'm not as big as him. I'm not, physically as big as him. And as far as like box office, he knows the deal. Like,
oh yeah.
Well, Kevin Sorbo is he knows his place. The thing about him is I hate how he was blacklisted, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about who he voted for, man, and that's kind of fucked up, man.
Well, yeah. There are a lot of people that took that on the chin. Dean Cain, another one.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Dean Cain. Yeah. You right about that. The Long Suffering.
Oh, the missus is
Mr.
on your.
Tag, how you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get into the Rock movies, there's like this golden window where he did a handful of really good movies that were, written well and directed well. And then from that point forward, he got on with Kevin Hart and everything was a damn comedy. And like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, some of the shit's kind of funny, but not really, not that funny.
Mhm.
And yeah, a lot of those, like, I think out of all the Kevin Hart stuff, the only one that really stood out was Jumanji, and that was a remake.
Right.
Right.
Man, did you hear how he's trying to do the Jumanji cinematic universe?
Why?
Well, the thing is, there's also another movie to consider, and that's Zaratha.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, it was kind of there. I remember that was with Dax Shepard. I remember, so something like that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they haven't linked it.
Well, maybe that's because there is no link.
Well, yeah,
like we've moved on from completely ripping off existing IPs to now we're playing Smash Burger with IPs. We're taking this IP and this IP, and they're kind of similar. Smack them together, throw them on a roll, send it out the window.
Sadly, it's not the first time.
No, and it won't be the last either.
No,
because everything has to have some sort of fucking universe to it. It can't exist on its own.
Right.
Yeah.
Even Isaac Asimov did that with the connecting the Foundation and the Robot series and meshing them together when he should have. He shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, when it comes to writing, that tends to happen. People stay in their lanes, like whatever their genre is, they tend to stick to that, just like Stephen King. And now supposedly everything he's ever done is all in the same universe, and you could find some random way to link the gunslinger from the Dark Tower series all the way to Christine. And it's like, what? No, why? Why would we need to? Those books can exist on their own separately, be from the same writer, and be good. And that's it.
Yeah.
Once you try to start linking things together, shit gets weird. You start to lose lore, and it just goes down.
Well,
right.
I mean, that's all Disney's trying to do is link everything together to the sequel trilogy, and look how it's going for them.
Wow, they're just creating shit.
Yeah. Well,
to be blunt, yeah, it's they keep trying to pile more onto the burger, and the burger's no longer a burger anymore. The burger is just a big turd on a bun. And after a while, you might be able to get away with serving somebody a shit sandwich once, maybe even twice. 3 times ain't happening.
You got it.
You get tired of fucking picking the fucking corn kernels out of your teeth.
Oh, we had to go there, didn't we?
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, did anybody ever watch Andromeda? What's up, Blinzer?
I tried. I really did try. I could not get hooked into Andromeda for some reason.
Wasn't really in my wheelhouse.
It's funny because now I would welcome the fuck out of Andromeda.
Yeah, I mean, what we have out there now, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, you know what? I'd take some old ass Andromeda and fucking pop it in and watch it, man. I would, let's say, what was that other show that was underwater with
Sequest, DSV.
Like shit like that. I would watch Sequest, Andromeda. There's a few others that maybe had anywhere between 1 to maybe 3 seasons. Some shows that came out, let's say in the last 20, 30 years, that I would actually, nowadays, I would fucking give it a run. I'd sit there like Stargate. I didn't give a fuck about Stargate because look, when I watched Stargate, the show, for some reason, it wasn't better than the movie. The guy that took over the role of Kurt Russell, he wasn't as hard as Kurt Russell, and I just couldn't watch a softer version of his ass just because it was a TV show.
Right.
Same character. What was his name? Dean. What was the fuck his name was? The guy that he was the same character as Kurt Russell, but he was on the TV show. What the fuck? I forgot the fuck his name was, but the character was a soft ass version.
Anderson.
Dean Anderson, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I got a mail block on his name, but
I think it's Richard. Yeah, Richard Dean Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Richard Dean Anderson. Yeah.
MacGyver.
Right, from MacGyver. Now, I look just to sit there and watch him play a soft ass version of Kurt Russell. It just didn't. I couldn't do it. And I was like, yo, what the fuck are they doing? Like, and I hate when they've done like TV adaptations of a movie that people like. They start to do a TV show, and the TV show versions of all the movie characters are fucking soft as fuck. I hated that, man. And they've done it so many times for so many movies that got turned into shows, and then when you watch the show version of it, it's soft, and it's like everybody's just. I just couldn't, man. He was too nice, and I was like, yo, I checked out.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, man. Maybe everybody feels different, but for me, I just couldn't. I just wasn't on board with that. Appreciate you, Das Wolfen, man. Ask Mac and Don about hamburgers from the old man. Huh. Say Hephaestus says Kevin Sorbo was good in Hercules and Call the Conqueror. I have that too. I love Call the Conqueror. That was pretty awesome. But for some great old school muscle, you need Mark Singer and Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Mark Singer, man, I fucking love Mark Singer, man. He has an acting school in Canada. He has his own acting school.
No shit.
Yeah, no bullshit, man. Yeah. I mean, a guy like that has been in the game for fucking 40, 45 years easily. Yeah, he has his own acting school. I looked it up a few years ago, and it's still going strong. So I love Mark Singer, man. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Mark Singer, the only thing I think he fucked up in that he could have done was when he did the V reboot.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
that.
he came back, and he didn't come back as his own character. He came back as some new motherfucker. And at that point, I was like, "Yo, you just fucked it up. You just fucked it up." Because the thing is, they could have told such a story. Just think of this: you got this new V reboot. They had a couple of episodes where they brought in the original actress that played Diana, and she was still looking smoking hot. Fucking, this was 2010, so it was about 13 years ago. She was still looking smoking hot, and I was like, "Yo, okay, cool." They bring in Mark Singer, and from what I understood, maybe my information's wrong, but what I heard was they asked him if he wanted to be his original character, and he said no, he wanted to be some new motherfucker. And I was like, "Yo." Yeah, now what they could have done with that is they could have brought him in as Donovan from his original original V show, and they could have put it to where, okay, why is this reboot happening? Well, they could have put a spin on it that was the original war, and basically, some shit happened to where it's like now they're rearing the ugly heads, and he's a veteran from the first time they invaded.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have played off of that because he's a survivor
from
the original time. They could, boy, I tell you what, people would have fucking blew up for season 2 if he would have been Donovan from the original series, and they're like, yo, we're bringing him back in to be Donovan again, so that because he's an old veteran that fought him back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, that's what people were wanting. That's why they brought in Diana, the actress, and she just laid around looking hot and shit, but she didn't do shit. Man, I own all that shit, man. I own the first two, the series, both miniseries, and then I own the actual. No, they had 2 miniseries, and then they had the ongoing series. I own all of that. Then I also own all the V comic books in mint condition. So they had like maybe a 15 to 18 issue run or no, maybe not that much. They had it was a very small run of comics.
Yeah.
And I own all of those too.
I got the two.
And those are hard to find. And dude, people are gonna charge you an arm and a leg because V is it's what do they call it when cult classic kind of show.
Yeah.
Right, and people love it. Matter of fact, the guy that created V, he's trying to bring back in the last like 2 or 3 years. He's trying to come out with new stories and shit because man, I love V, man, and they could have done something with it, but they fucking dropped the ball, man. And it could have started with Mark Singer's character.
Yeah,
that's my opinion, man. I just love V like that, and I think somebody I know told me that they have some of the original figures, and I was fucking mad as fuck, man. I was like, dog. Old man said she was eye candy. Yeah, she was.
See, and I'm looking at this, the chat you had up on the screen prior. He mentions Krull.
Yeah, Call the Conqueror. Yeah.
Call the Conqueror. And it made me think of Krull, the movie. And I went back and looked, and I never really realized that.
Yeah, Krull was with Liam Neeson, huh?
Yeah, Liam Neeson was.
Yeah. He had that star, and he was. Oh, that motherfucker was. Oh man, dude, I own that shit too, man. And I own all those movies. I own Cole the Conqueror. I own Krull. I own all the V's. I own all the Conans, dude. I have over 10,000 titles on Blu-ray and DVD, man. All original, so no bootlegs. I hate bootlegs. No fucking copies of nothing. Everything's original. So I own all that shit, man. And yeah, man, Krull, a motherfucker, man. Liam Neeson with that star, yo, that shit was fucking.
Well, it wasn't Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson was a side character.
Yeah,
the main guy was Ken Marshall.
Right, but Liam Neeson, to me, he stood out the most.
Page. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you look at the credits for Ken Marshall,
right?
And I'm looking through, like, okay, he did a bunch of TV stuff. Like, that was like the one big movie he did, and he showed up as a character, side character, never a main character, and all these random ass TV shows.
Yeah, well, he's in Star Trek. He was Eddington on Star Trek.
Right, he was a side character. He wasn't one of the primary characters.
Right.
And if you look at him then versus now, he looks completely different.
Yeah, balding.
Why, he's old. He's in his 70s now. Shit.
Yeah, now he is. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Krull a Marvel comic? Krull. If I'm not mistaken, I think there was a Marvel. You can look. I think Krull was actually a Marvel, either an adaptation or it was an original Marvel thing that they turned into a movie. And I could be wrong, but
they made an adaptation of the movie.
Was it Marvel?
I think it was. Yes.
I think it's one of the two.
I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3 issue or just a single.
Right, or just a one shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Krull IMDb. It really didn't say much.
I mean, you could put Krull the comic book, and they'll tell you.
Let me see here. Krull.
Yo, old man said she was eye candy. Yo, old man, don't get caught. Don't get caught peeping at what you ain't supposed to be peeping at.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it went many. I mean, it was under Marvel.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep.
One issue.
It was. So yeah, basically, they probably dropped it in a one shot. Yeah. There you go. Aphaseus, my brother says, didn't watch the new V show at all. Don't like all these reboots. Well, the V show again. It was. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2010. Yeah, it was around 2009, 2010. It ran for 2 seasons. And it had from what I remember, you remember Boys in the Hood?
Yeah.
the movie Boys in the Hood with Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he had a brother called Ricky.
Yeah.
And Ricky got shot the fuck up by by some Bloods. Well, he was what was his name? It starts with an M. The actor is his real the actor that played Ricky, Ice Cube's brother on Boys in the Hood, was actually one of the main actors for the V reboot.
Morris Chestnut.
That's why. There you go. It started with an M. Yeah, Morris Chestnut. That was who was Ricky in Boys in the Hood. He was a part of the V reboot. So, even when they made it then, but there was a black guy in the original V. So of course, V actually was very diverse. They had Mexicans, whites, black dudes. They had Asians. They had all kind of people. Italians. They had all kind of folks in that show. Mm-hmm. And it was a good show, man. It wasn't trying to be something more than what it was. It was exactly what it is. And people can appreciate when diversity is natural. It's like, nothing, it wasn't force fed. You can sit there and watch it now. And actually with all the diversity, if you would have put out the real V right now, it would have actually, it would have came out. Mm-hmm. Like it wouldn't have, like they checked all the boxes before that was even a thing.
Yeah,
it was just a creative decision, just to hell, we're showing how what was that? I think it was California that they were in the original V, right. And it was like, California's always been like that. So I don't know, man. It's crazy, when you look back at that stuff and
and when you're creating a character. Like, unless there's something very distinct about the character's background that needs to be fleshed out so that you understand the character more, it could be anybody playing that character. Like if it's a middle income individual living in X state, whatever, it could be anybody. It doesn't necessarily need to be a specific background to fill some of those roles. The way they're doing it now, they're taking, historical, actual people and changing them, and that drives me bonkers. Like,
oh yeah,
well, but it's just a movie,
right?
Okay, so Black Panther can be played by a white guy? No, we can't have that. But Queen Elizabeth can be a black woman, or whatever. Like, it's just.
It's funny. They asked Cleopatra, the actress.
She said something about a black woman.
Yeah, no, they
and everybody corrected her.
Nah, what it was just this probably came out about a day or two ago. They asked her about the role, being turning her black. She had the nerve to say there's no such thing as blackwashing.
Right. Tell that to every character that was.
Yeah, I was like, me and no bullshit. I was like, bitch. I ain't trying to hear that shit. And it's funny because they doing that nowadays more than anything.
Well, yeah,
they don't want to whitewash anything, but hell, they talking about ain't no such thing as blackwashing. What the fuck is the Little Mermaid? What the fuck is Annie? What so much shit. And the thing is, none of that shit. Like, I look. I remember the original Annie. I own that shit on Blu-ray. I own it on DVD. I own the sing-along version that's with all the extra shits. And I'm gonna tell you something. The little redhead girl from the fucking 80s with Carol Burnett and all that shit. That movie's better than the black version with Jamie Foxx and whoever the fuck else was in the fucking movie. Right. Was it Gabrielle Union? I can't fucking remember, but it doesn't matter because it's not better.
Well, and it's funny too, because in a situation like that, right? I mean, the original character, the comic strip character Annie,
right,
was written a certain way, and she was a, underprivileged white orphan,
right?
Which they exist. It's not like they don't exist. But it's weird to no, we need to make this character black, emphasizing the fact that blacks are typically poor and or orphans.
Yeah,
is that really where you wanted to go down this road?
You know what it is they're trying to make the struggle real.
Yep.
Like, yo,
Well, okay, but all you got to do is look out your door to see the struggle is real. I mean, okay, you didn't need to make a fictional story real like that because it didn't matter. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was a different article that I was talking about where she had said something about, she was one of the OG Black Queens, whatever. And everybody was just like, nah, wait a minute here. If you trace her origins back, Cleopatra was mostly of Greek origin. Persian? Yeah, I mean, she was.
Yeah.
And she
Cleopatra,
was
Macedonian.
Right, and she was of fairer skin. That's what made her stand out in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically she just got trashed on horribly for even stating that. And they're like, bitch, she wasn't even black. She wasn't even Arab.
Right. Well, they say from all the depictions from history, she's not black, man. And I mean,
you get I'm not saying she's Elizabeth Taylor White either.
Right.
But like you get a olive-skinned, dark-haired woman.
Yeah.
I mean, you're describing most of Southern Europe at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Between Spain and Greece and all that. Like, whatever. Just to make things that much more difficult. You need to. Oh, she was a black queen. No, really, she wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't Elizabeth Taylor White, but she wasn't Netflix black either.
Netflix black.
So
that's really the
way
black.
To put it, man. She wasn't Elizabeth Taylor White, but she wasn't Netflix black. And that's basically.
Am I going to open up a box of Crayola in the future and see Netflix black in there?
Well, probably not. What's the darkest black?
What's that? Pitch black, midnight black.
No, there's a distinct name for it. Vanta black.
Oh,
it is.
Vanta.
Yeah.
It's something called Vanta black.
Vanta, not the like
V is in Victor. VANTA black, all one word. And it's vertically aligned nanotube array black.
Wow.
It is, if you paint a room that color and have no light in the room, you can see nothing. Right? Like nothing. You can lose shit in front of your face if it's in the room with you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an absorbent color. So basically it takes light and diminishes it by basically instead of reflecting light off of it, it just sucks it up.
It's like a little black hole.
Effectively. If you've ever seen, and if you go on YouTube, you'll actually see guys like paint rooms in their house that color, and they'll stand at the doorway, and it looks like they're standing at a doorway to nothing.
Ooh.
Like you cannot see anything in the room. And the door's open and light is there, and it just does not reflect back. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
If you want a real torture chamber, you take one of the sound diminishing rooms, the one that basically it has zero reflection, and then paint it that color black, and you will drive somebody completely insane.
Ugh.
Wow. And Das Wolfen says, those older shows are all we're going to have if they don't reach a compromise soon. The WGA will be joined by the Directors Guild after June 1st, and nothing will get made. Fuck it. You know what?
Yeah,
look, maybe that's the thing, and I said this before. This is probably the thing that Hollywood needs is a fucking pause button.
Or a
all
flush.
this shit is trash. And you know what? And the thing is, how the fuck are you gonna compromise with writers that have basically given every one of these companies, Universal, Disney, WB, whatever, Sony, whoever the fuck is in existence, how are you gonna sit there and compromise with writers that have basically given
An ultimatum.
Hollywood, basically giving Hollywood the worst few years, you know, actually the worst 5 or 10 years of his whole existence.
Yeah.
This has to be the worst fucking time in entertainment, to where the majority of everything that comes out is straight trash. I wouldn't fucking compromise with these writers for shit.
No.
No, what'll end up happening if it ends up going that far that the director will join them, you're gonna end up like, they'll say, well, nobody will cross the line, nobody's gonna work. They'll just start hiring people who aren't part of the guild, and you may find a diamond in the rough that way. You may find somebody's like really struggling and like, look, this is my one shot to really get in here and do something.
And you know what? And just to what you said, that might be the fucking renaissance that we fucking need to get everything back on track. Is to, you know, fuck all the people that are part of these guilds. If they want to fucking picket, leave their fucking ass outside holding their shits, not getting paid, because the work that they put in for the last 5 or 10 years haven't been about shit. Yeah. So you know what? You get all these new up and coming writers that want a fresh start without, you know, dude, you know how it would change everything if you bring in new writers that fucking outdone the folks that are on the picket line, and you come with a whole new fresh just, you know, new ideas and TV shows and new shits, you know, done by these new writers that are not a part of the Writers Guild because for some reason they weren't accepted or whatever the fuck, or, you know, and
they just never got their shot.
Right. You know? And it's like they, you know, they want to prove themselves. You give them a shot and see how they blow out the fucking the old writers that been there. Dude, I'd rather welcome that in AI versus the shit that we've been seeing for the last 5 or 10 years, man.
I don't necessarily agree with the AI, because I think that's just more trash, and it's going to base its
input over, you know, behind the person that puts in the information.
Right. So you're still going to end up with trash. It's just going to be AI trash instead of
probably more coherent garbage. Right.
Right. You know, I'd rather have people outside the business with fresh ideas and see where it goes from there. You know, I've even, not that I'm a writer in any way, shape, or form, but, you know, I've had ideas of stuff. You know, everybody, you know, comes up with something in their head like, wow, wouldn't this be cool if a movie was like this or that or whatever? You know, and because I'm a car guy, it's always got to be, you know, it's got to lean a little bit into the car realm. It doesn't have to be about cars, but I had this idea rolling through my head, kind of John Wick-ish, but not so John Wick that it's just a copy, but set a period piece set, you know, sometime in the 70s, and the character, you know, you can give him any kind of name. It doesn't really matter, but the nickname is what's the important part. You know, the car he drives is a 70 Fury Sport Coupe, which is the 2-door Fury. You call the movie Fury, which it has a double meaning right off the bat. You give him that kind of nickname, you know, and you can base his background, like, you know, he's ex-military or whatever. And, you know, it could be a revenge story. It could be who knows what. But you link the car and him and his nickname together, and you call it that. And you start the story there and work from there. You know, it's not a huge idea. It's just something that was rolling around in my head. But I always thought that, like, you go back and watch Christine, and one of the most memorable things in the trailers was that Chrysler V on the screen. It's the on the grill, and it's the gold V.
Man.
And that was, you know, distinct. You saw it and you went, wow, that's cool. You know, and using the Fury nameplate from Chrysler, you use the same font, so it's kind of a cursive font,
Right.
but you name it Fury, right? The Fury means the car, but it also means, his fury and whatever goal he needs to achieve, be it revenge or whatnot. And you hang the trailer on that, just that image, the word Fury written like it is on the car, with a little glow in the background or something, just something visual that stings. It's that hook in a song. It's something that gets people thinking. But, who knows if I'll ever proceed anywhere with that. I need to get.
You know what, brother? You have a hell of an idea. Yo, go for it, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't. You know what? To be honest, it sounds like a great idea. Don't dismiss it, man. You might. I'm telling you, man. You might want to put a little bit more attention to it. Sounds like a damn good idea, man.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, to be honest, I would be interested in reading that or watching that, just from the little bit you told me. And
Right.
I'm not fluffing you up or no shit like that. Because if it didn't sound good, I just wouldn't say shit. But it does sound good and it sounds interesting. And I'd say, you know what, you came with a very original idea. You might want to copyright that shit real fucking quick. Because you probably did say a little too much, but you know what? It's still a hell of an idea, and you should pursue it real fast, man. And you can copyright it, like I said, man. And yeah, it sounds good. Sounds like a good idea. Like I said, in a few few sentences, you said enough to where I'd be like, you know what, I would fuck with that. That it sounds straight up, and it's not woke. It ain't full of shit. It's it's an original idea. Why not expand on it? Especially if it's the thing is you already got the mindset for it, man.
And that's the thing. That's why I wanted to
do it.
In my head canon, it was a period piece, because you take something like that and you make it modern, and something is out of place. Either the character's out of place or the car is definitely out of place, because who runs around in a 1970 Fury nowadays? Nobody.
Do it.
But yeah, I mean, it needs to have enough of a toe in the past to make it believable.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. That's real Palpatine talking. Do it. Yeah, it's a hell of an idea. What's up, Gap After Dark? He said, "What do you all are bitching about?"
Everything.
Everybody.
Yep.
Nah, man, Gap is fucking.
We're bitching about the fact that 24 can vote now.
Yeah, man. Just
that's what we're
regain my ability to vote, man. So yeah.
And I worked so hard to keep him down.
Oh well. What the man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's funny, man. When people are like, yo, the man, I was like, yo, that fucking invisible ass entity that everybody is, a lot of people cry that keeps them down. Who's that? The man.
The man. I am the man.
Yeah, you keep saying the man, and I keep thinking of this old game that I had played that was how do I put this? A bit more adult oriented. But it was all like all the characters were warped tropes that you understood where they were coming from, but it was like, wait a minute, what? Like so all the hillbillies were Jewish.
Right.
Wow.
and all the man agents,
right,
all black dudes, so they all look like bouncers. Yeah, it was just a hilarious game. Like they didn't pull any punches with any of the characters in that.
Say, Das Wolf, and take it easy, man. You have a good night too, brother. Thank you, man.
Take care, John.
Yeah, man, it's fucking awesome. Das Wolfen just left the building. Appreciate you, brother. So Gap, Keely Chow. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. I just saw that he was bailing out. So Gap says, I've been watching a really he says, I've been watching a really great Cap show called Southland. It is I just started season 4 out of 5. Highly recommended. I heard of Southland and I never watched it. But you know what, Gap, from your recommendation, I'll look for it, man.
I've heard of it. I've never. I don't even know what network it's on.
Yeah, I've heard of it too, and I've never watched it. But just because Gap said that we need to check it out, I'll definitely.
You're gonna go on Gap's word, man.
Yeah, man.
That's I don't know. That's challenging right there.
Well, Gap hasn't steered me wrong yet, man. So
you're the first guy, then. You're the first one.
Yeah, shit. That's my man right there. He's all good, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Gotta bust his chops a little.
Yeah, it looks like just reading a brief synopsis. It's a raw and authentic look at Los Angeles and the lives of the LAPD officers who police it. LA of all the places. Like
La La Land.
Well, yeah, I mean there was a movie that was kind of like that. I can't even think. It was with Gyllenhaal, wasn't it?
Yep, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I can't even remember the name of that police movie.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of it myself.
Well,
hold on.
Funny.
End of Watch. There it is. End of Watch.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah. The cop movie.
Yeah.
I own that. Yeah. End of Watch. Yeah.
You own every movie, man.
Not every. There's still some things I need to get my hands on.
Oh, guess what I got the other day?
I
got Thundar the Barbarian on Blu-ray.
You mother! How much?
$20.
From where?
Amazook.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Thundar the Barbarian. Holy shit! Between them and the Herculoids.
Yeah.
Holy shit! The Herculoids.
And I think Brave Star was another one that was in that.
Brave Star. Come on, man. Brave Star is fucking awesome. Yeah, I love those man.
Mm-hmm.
It's Space Ghost.
Oh yeah, Space Ghost, Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
Shit. Johnny Quest is cool, but man, all those space. I mean, if you wanted something more grounded, with him and Haji, it's space. Johnny Quest. But if you're talking about something out there, Thundar the Barbarian, Space Ghost, the Herculoids, fuck. That's the way to go, man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Gap says 24 knows I don't recommend too many things. You sure right about that. But you know what? Your recommendations are always good, brother. What he says about Regina King also has Regina King in it. She's a very good actress and has been watching, and I've been watching it since Friday, and I can't stop. Yeah, I just when Regina King did the Watchmen TV show for HBO Max, that's when she lost me, man. Yeah, she fucking lost me there, man. And then all the bullshit she put up when people were like, when some people were talking shit about it, it's whatever, man. It's fucking. Yeah, I used to like Regina King, man. Used to. But, she's a good actress when she wants to be. Yo, I tell you what, fuck it. I'm gonna mute myself. I gotta use the restroom, man. I'll be right back, man. If you guys can.
He hasn't gotten.
Caveman, my man.
He hasn't gotten the cup of shame yet.
No, I don't have a empty water bottle and nothing right here next to me. But I'll be right back, man.
All right. I don't know.
Poor 24, poor 24, poor 24.
Well, not
I've been
everybody
there.
can have a massive bladder.
No, no. I know what you mean. As I gotten older, the bladder isn't as big as it used to be. You can't trust a fart. So that's what I gotta say there about that.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that thing with what you talking about. It's kind of funny. We are just talking about the Watchmen thing earlier, and it just and how that was such a big turd for HBO. They went right off since from page one. They were wanting to diss Alan Moore and do their own thing and rub it in his face, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this: like Alan Moore doesn't necessarily like his own work much either.
No, that's true. I mean, Alan Moore is a strange one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they took a story that didn't necessarily need to continue, but it was honestly, I blame DC on that because they in the comics they looped everything back to happening because of Dr. Manhattan. And it's like you could have just left those two things separate.
Yeah.
Because the characters in The Watchmen don't jive with the rest of DC's lineup.
No.
Like they are so off. And it was done on purpose. Alan Moore did that as as his typical deconstruction of the superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have similarities between some of the characters to actual DC heroes, but they're different enough that it makes it a distinct story in its own. Characters like Ozymandias being a sort of representation of Superman, but with a dark, sinister cloud over him. But in the end, was he right for doing what he did? Yeah, probably. Because the way the story lays out and whatnot, I'm not going to get too into it, but it was fine. It ended. It didn't need to continue. It didn't need any kind of explanation as to beyond the end of that story. The idea of Rorschach leaving his journal to be found and whatnot left it vague, but vague and purposeful in its vagueness.
It makes you think and wonder what would happen. It's like one of those things that it's like don't tell them what happens. Let them come up with ideas of what might happen.
Yeah, it leaves the reader to his imagination or their imagination, and that's fine. You could in your head canon say, well, this is what happened after that, and there are no wrong answers at that point. Now you're giving a distinct answer to a question that didn't need to be answered. And then DC looping all of that into primary DC comics made it even worse.
Right.
Because then it's like, well, okay, so everything that happens in DC Comics, now you're just going to look at like Dr. Manhattan and go, bro, what are you doing? Like, because you've laid that groundwork. Now it's if another crisis happens, you got to turn to Dr. Manhattan and say, fuck, dude, stop.
Yeah, it's, the thing is, and you're right. Look, I just read, Jeff Johns just dropped, for the last, it's like a 6-part limited series called Stargirl and the Lost Children. The whole purpose of it is all the sidekicks that you've seen in comic, in DC, that wasn't Robin or Kid Flash. You know, the ones that a lot of them disappeared. Like, you know, and what that means is, you know, they became unpopular. You know, people stopped writing about them, whatever. But you know, in the comic book world, it just seemed like they disappeared. And Stargirl goes and she finds them, and they're existing out of time.
Okay.
And you know, and so basically, you know, when you sit there and you know, you read this, there's a part where even there's a time traveler in DC called Rip Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of his sidekicks that also disappeared in the midst of all this shows up, and he's explaining the whole history of the DCU with Christ on Infinite Earths, the multiverse and everything else. And what they put into the midst of all this is what happened between the New 52 turning into DC Rebirth. And they mentioned Dr. Manhattan's interference into what changed the timeline.
Yeah, great.
Well,
You know, from basically like from when the Flash went and tried to save his mom and basically turned the world all fucked up, and then when Flash tried to fix it, it turned into the New 52, which is, they're saying that was Dr. Manhattan's doing, but all that is now a part of DC canon.
Yeah.
How he was like how he, you know, his part on when he left the Watchmen universe, when he disappeared. Basically, what happened is he showed up here in the DC universe and started visioning things. Right. And so basically, you know, the whole point of it is basically what you're saying is, you know, they plucked the Watchmen, they did what they did, they plugged them into current day DC, and now, whether you like it or not, that interjection is a part of canon.
Yeah, and that just fucking pisses me off. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm pretty sure they'll probably mention the original Speedy, right?
Yeah.
The original Speedy was one of those kid characters that was a sidekick to a primary. So Green Arrow had Speedy. We already got all of Speedy's story, right? Speedy grew up. Speedy got hooked on drugs. Right? Like, there was this whole fucking thing about him being, what was it, a heroin addict or some shit?
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can't just say, well, those characters disappeared, because they didn't really disappear. They grew up. Just like Batman's, all of his Robins. Right. The reason he had all of these different Robins is because they grew the fuck up and moved on.
Or died.
You know?
Right. Something.
Or died or whatever. You know, like, life happened. It wasn't that they just disappeared.
Well, you know, the thing, but what you know, as far as the Stargirl story goes, these are like, for instance, there was a hero called TNT, and he had a sidekick called Dynamite. TNT,
go figure.
You know, TNT and Dynamite. Yeah, actually, they're Golden Age heroes, and TNT ended up he ended up disappearing, and Dynamite, you know, ended up being obscure. You know, there was another character called the Crimson Avenger, which is actually a very known Golden Age character. He had a sidekick called Wings. And the Crimson Avenger, he disappeared in time, and nobody knows what happened to Wings and this is all a part of comic book history. He disappeared in some kind of time rift back. Fucking what? This was like in real time, in real life. You know, when all this was being written and drawn and created for DC, this had to easily over like 60 years ago. So he disappeared back in the Golden Age as a part of a storyline of him disappearing in the timeline, and basically his partner disappeared too. come to find out that Dynamite was captured, put on this planet, on this island that's basically sitting outside of time. So they scooped him up. They scooped up. There's a character. I don't know if you remember back in the 70s or 80s. There was a character called Airwave, and he was a villain. And his son was a good guy called Airwave Jr. And you seen him a part of the All-Star Squadron that came out back in the 80s. And I own the whole collection of All-Star Squadron, and I haven't seen Airwave since that comic book that came out in the 80s. And so basically, he's a character that hasn't been written about in a good about 45 years. And all of a sudden, you come to find out the reason why in real life he hasn't been written in any kind of story in 45 years. But come to find out, he was captured and put on this island. That's why we haven't, so the story goes, that's why we haven't seen him in 45 years. So you have all these, not Speedy, not Roy Harper Arsenal. We're talking about all the other characters, sidekicks of heroes that, were famous back, in World War II or somewhere in the 60s. And all of a sudden, the actual hero or the sidekick just haven't been written in comic books anymore because those characters kind of faded out. They're not as famous.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, but we know the real world implications of that. It's nobody bought the comic, therefore the comic stopped getting written. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the day, the creation of the comic couldn't be justified by its sales. So, like a lot of characters that fall on their face, they disappear. But they're trying to explain things that don't need to be explained. Well, we get it. That character didn't last because he wasn't one of the core characters of, either Justice Society or Justice League, and you have your core characters that you keep with you as time progresses. Right. It's an explanation for something no one had the question to.
Right, but it made for interesting reading to say, okay. Yeah. Jeff Johns wrote it, so he's like, hey, so basically, he's like, hey, Stargirl is his own created character based off of his sister that died, and he's like, Stargirl was looking for this character, which is Crimson Avenger, and she ended up finding him about a year ago in comics. Her and the Justice Society went looking for him. And come to find out, the reason why we haven't seen Crimson Avenger in decades, they try to put a story to it. Of course, he wasn't as popular or whatever, but they're saying, well, the reason why you haven't seen him is because he got caught in this time rift and he disappeared somewhere in time. Well, she was like, well, now that we found him, they lost him again the same way. So they found Crimson Avenger and he ends up getting caught right back in the time rift. But then she was like, well, if that's what happened to him, what happened to his partner? So she went out to go look for him and come to find out there's an old group of kids called the Newsboy Legion that was out back in World War II. And they hung around with a character called the Guardian, which is one of the characters that tried to help Gotham City during the funeral of a friend when Superman died. He was one of the protectors of Metropolis. And it was him, and he was written back during World War II, so he's actually a Golden Age character, and he ran with a group called the Newsboy Legion. Well, the thing is, what happened to the Newsboy Legion? Well, come to find out, they got captured too, and these are actual real heroes. There were like a group of kids that were orphans, and they got captured and put on this island right along with Airwave and Dynamite and a bunch of other, sidekicks. And come to find out that there was this character that was kidnapping all the sidekicks, ever since World War II, since you didn't hear about them no more in comic books. The reason why is because these characters were kidnapped and Stargirl finally finds all of them. So it's like, damn, it makes for an interesting story about characters that were long gone and forgotten. And now there's an explanation saying, hey, look, it was because these kids were kidnapped. And the thing is, they're still the same age as they were 60, 70 years ago. So it's like, wow, that's, you know, it just makes for an interesting story. And I mean, I would have never been able to come up with any idea like that, but leave it up to Jeff Johns. Shit, who would have thought of something like that? Not me.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, you have to know your comic book history in order to tell that kind of story. Because you're bringing in, because think about it. Back then, everybody had a sidekick. Captain America had Bucky. Batman had Robin. You know, Aquaman had Aqualad. Wonder Woman had, you know, again,
Wonder Girl.
Arrow had Speedy. Look, it was just, you know, having a sidekick was a thing. And to come, a lot of them were either orphans, parents got killed, something to that effect. And here you go. You got a hero, you know, taking them, putting them under, you know, their wing, and now they're fighting crime together. And again, the Teen Titans, you know, is one of the very few of them that continue to be talked about, and stories were written about them past the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, so they were never lost or forgotten. They became repopular all over again. But you talk about the rest of them, they didn't make the cut. But it makes for interesting reading to see that Jeff Johns would come in and make a story about, okay, well, this is the reason why you guys haven't seen him since then. And I was like, wow, that's some cool shit.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's all. I wouldn't, I was just letting you know.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's still tied to a really fucked up event when it comes to Dr. Manhattan and all that. Right. And that drives me nuts more than anything else, because now every story that you're going to write post, Watchmen universe, crashing into
the DC universe.
DC, yeah. Everything is now twisted in this weird light. No matter what they write after this, if they try to do another big event, now they're bound to this idea that Dr. Manhattan has to be involved in some way.
Right. Well, I mean, you look at what, let's say, it's kind of the equivalent of what Gunn's doing now. Like, basically, he's taking, what's that company? Something Watch, and they're basically, they're mashing the Authority in with current DC.
Yeah,
I think it's what Stormwatch. That's the group, the Authority. They're about to come soon, and that's going to be the first. They're going to be the group that the Justice League goes against in this new continuity. And they're like the anti-Justice League. But they come from a whole nother company, and they're getting mashed into. This as it's like it's the movie equivalent of what Turk is talking about with what happened in comic books.
Yeah.
So we'll see that in the next 2 years.
Yeah, the Gunverse. Yay.
Right. The GCU.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We can transition into the other story that you had brought up in the chat, or in the our private chat, where they're looking to cast the Superman characters. And it's, I understand where he's coming from with trying to pick somebody who's not real prominent to be Superman. I understand, you want somebody that is not just a rock type individual.
Right.
Right. So that everybody who's a fan of said actor is going to automatically watch this movie. You want to create something that you can actually have the focus on the story and not have to worry about this overshadowing presence of an actor taking light away from the story itself. So, I mean, I get it. And looking at the guy that everybody's been saying might be the cast, okay. Like, are they gonna pull a Chris Hemsworth with him? Are they gonna send him off with a bucket full of steroids and have him come back, or is he just gonna wear a puffy suit? Because he's tall, but he's not, physically imposing in any way.
No.
Right. Huh.
Now the choice for Lex I find interesting. It depends on where they go with him, because the last time they did that, you had Jesse, what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg? No.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And that was, I'm sorry, that's not Lex. Like, that's Lex's retarded son. It just did not fit at all.
No, it didn't.
The guy they got, the one who played Beast in X-Men.
Oh, that was Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
No, not the original Beast. The post Days of Future Past.
Oh,
Beast, the younger one. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But yeah, they're looking at him for Lex, which, okay, he's a good actor. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, so we'll see. But again, he's not a super A-lister either.
Right.
Like, he's definitely on the A-list tier, but probably at the lower end of the A-list tier. So, again, you're avoiding the overshadowing of a casting, making a mess of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well,
I mean, I like the idea that not necessarily going to be running for no one, and actors like that. It gives a chance for someone who's less known. Like Christopher Reeve. I mean, no one really knew who Christopher Reeve was until he did Superman.
Yeah, I mean, he had some acting credits, but
right, yeah,
they weren't like super prominent.
Right.
And,
he wasn't
he did most of that stuff after the fact, not before.
Exactly.
Say, Sock says it's Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, the guy doing Lex, yeah.
Or Superman, one of the two.
No, that's Lex.
Oh,
Nicholas
Lex.
Hoult was the guy who played the young Beast.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult is for Lex. David Corenswet is the one they're eyeing for Superman. And it's not a name. I know he's been in stuff, but I couldn't.
He's not a household name, huh?
Yeah, not a household name. Yeah, and then the two females, I don't see who they're saying who is who. Like, I'm assuming one of them will be Lois.
Sock says Nicholas Hoult. I just saw him in the new horror comedy with Nicolas Cage, Renfield.
Oh, Renfield. Yeah, Renfield.
So
so I mean, he's, like I said, he's A-list, but not like, The Rock or
not even Nicolas Cage.
Or not even Nicolas Cage. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, Cage is a entity on unto himself. Like, there's actors, and then there's Nicolas Cage.
Right.
Yeah, and that can be taken good or bad.
Exactly.
Right.
Depending.
Oh shit.
Well, I mean, I would say, and again, this is just me in an opinion, but the height of Nicolas Cage was Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's blockbuster hit, a decent remake, and had definitely more story to it than the original. And the rest of the cast, of course, was prominent as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just made some really strange movies.
Did you watch the Lawrence Fishburne movie that came out at that time?
Lawrence Fishburne movie at the same time as Gone in 60 Seconds.
So yeah, you had Gone in 60 Seconds. You had Fast and the Furious.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, I know the biker one.
Yeah. What's it? Torque.
Torque. Yeah, that was trash. Torque. Absolute and utter trash. You know why I say that?
Lawrence Fishburne and Torque. And Torque.
Okay, I like Lawrence Fishburne. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
He's a great actor, but that movie was shit. And the reason I say that is because nothing about that movie was even remotely like as bad as Fast and Furious is about accuracy and cars and stuff like that. Torque was worse for motorcycles.
No.
Some of the shit they pulled on a bike, you just don't do. like okay, you're at a drag strip, drag racing people, and the guy crosses the center line to try to punk you off your bike. No, the motherfucker gets sent out the goddamn door and told never come back. Like, you don't do that at a drag strip. Drag strips has rules.
Right.
Like, everything about that was just utter shit.
It does not get the New Bomb Turk seal of approval.
No. If you're going to pull and try and make a movie about cars or motorcycles or anything automotive or vehicle themed, for fuck's sakes, get the damn... Not only get the story right, but get the accuracy in physics
and the culture
and what goes on in the culture, right?
Right.
Honestly, the best Fast and Furious movie, even though it was still one of the most technically inaccurate movies, was the first one.
Right.
Because everything beyond that was a fucking shit show, like jumping cars between buildings and going to space and all this other junk. Or swinging like Tarzan in a car, no, none of that happens. It was just, it makes me cringe. Oh, yeah, National Treasure 2, yes. I would say that was about the same time frame. It was a little after Gone in 60 Seconds, but, he did well with those. And then they shit all over it and made a TV show and made it all female.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sock says he thinks that Nicolas Cage's best movie is 8mm.
Really?
Yeah, that is a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Marred possibly by its content a little bit, because what the story's actually about, which is kind of disturbing, but then also marred by the fact that they made a sequel that had absolutely nothing to do with the first movie.
No.
Yeah, it was just as disturbing and just as weird, but completely not connected in any way, shape, or form. They just used the title effectively.
Damn.
So it's 8mm 2, but it's garbage. First one was good. I did watch that and yeah, it is a disturbing movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I couldn't get into Wicker Man at all.
Wicker Man. Holy shit. Yeah,
I just know about the memes
when
it comes to that. The bees.
The bees memes.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, it sucks. A 20-minute run down a runway. They went halfway across Europe on that runway. And no one ever dies. I mean, it's honestly more like a comic book than anything else. You just keep bringing characters back. Didn't you die? No, bro, that didn't happen.
Oh yeah, like how you thought Hans died, and all of a sudden he shows up in the last movie.
Yeah.
Put out. Yeah.
That's just
man. What?
Well, no, they even did that before that. Because Hans' death was in 3, which was supposed to be a departure from Yeah, it was supposed to be a complete departure from the original cast and everything else, which it was, until they added a scene at the end which linked fucking Toretto back into the story. And then they said, okay, so 3 happened after 4, 5, and 6. So that they were in this weird timeline where they had jumped way ahead in the movies, and like, what the fuck? Just to get it to go 10 movies. Like,
yeah, especially now that the last of these movies are going to be 3 more. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it's officially not 10 then.
It's definitely not, man. It's 10, but part 1, part 2, and part 3 kind of shits.
Whatever. They're gonna break that into A, B, and C as well. First one says Fast and Furious 10, Part 1, subletter A. Like,
yeah, article came out a couple days ago. Vin Diesel was like, yeah, Universal asked us to push it to 3 movies for the finale.
Yeah, because they're hurting for money.
Yeah,
it's all about like if this is going to be the last of these motherfuckers you guys are going to make, you might as well make the most of it. So
like, where else are you going to go? I mean, you're going to time travel at some point because you've been to space, you've flown cars in many different ways, you've dragged a safe that an 18-wheeler would have a hard time dragging with 2 Chargers. Like, you've done all this random ass shit, and what's left? You're going to time travel back to the first movie and save the fucking ADHD kid that was working on all the cars? No.
I mean,
I guess he's dead.
You're right. I guess after all this, probably the next place you could take it to is underwater, right?
There you go.
Oh, God. Oh, please don't.
I'm just saying, man.
The Fish and the Furious.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to really...
with a submarine charger.
And then, I mean, and I have seen where they got cars that are now able to do some things with water. So,
we've always had that. I mean, shit, that shit's been around for years.
Right. Well,
but it's the original Amphicar was made in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, James Bond did it long before.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, that was movie trickery more than anything else.
Yeah.
But they did build a sub version of the Lotus for the movie, and it did like function. It just wasn't a sub, like it wasn't self-contained. So you had a guy inside it that had scuba gear on, that had the same controls as the little turbine things that they were using to get around, the little powered with the propeller at the back.
Yeah.
And effectively it was that inside. So it had 2 little turboprop things on the back that pushed it along, and there was a guy in a scuba suit on the inside controlling it.
Wow. This is Sox says I better not give Universal any ideas, huh?
No, don't.
Well, and old man brought up air tanks, but like didn't the A-Team already fly a tank? So we already had that they flew the tank after it got dropped out on the C-130. What are they doing? What are they firing at? They're not firing to shoot at things. They're firing to fly the tank. They're aiming.
That was the movie, huh?
Yeah, that was a movie.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was with Rampage Jackson, Quentin.
Yeah. Which had legs like that. They could have done more with that, and they just kind of walked away from it. Like they left it open at the end, just like the opening of the TV show where they're on the run and they go and help people, blah blah blah. Like they left it open to do another movie, but
or actually, if I'm not, that's Wasn't that supposed to be how they got together?
Yeah, it was the origin story.
Right, and that way it leads up to the TV show where you see that, you know, when the show starts, they're already in action.
Right. So they like, if you go from that movie and you say, okay, that movie is their introduction into the TV show, they lost all their ability to fire weapons. They couldn't hit a goddamn broadside of a barn with a fucking rocket launcher. Like, the TV show was so bad. It was like all this gunfire and nobody gets hit. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of like a live action G.I. Joe cartoon.
Right, yeah. Like,
you know, everybody gets shot and nobody gets killed.
Yep.
Cannonball. See, no, okay. Cannonball Run is again, it's one of those. First movie was great. Second,
yeah.
Third, they should have just stopped.
Did they make a third one?
Yeah.
Oh.
But
that's how forgettable it is.
Did anybody ever watch Smokey and the Bandit 4?
No.
Yes, and God, that should have
holy shit. Yo, you talking about you look, if you know anything about Smokey and the Bandit, I got the fucking trilogy. Matter of fact, I got the special edition version of the trilogy. And just to find out they came out with a fucking Smokey and the Bandit 4 with no Burt Reynolds, dude.
Yeah, it still had Jerry Reed. Jerry Reed was basically filling in as the bandit. And it was all about a styrofoam shark. It was just
dude, that shit was fucking wild. So yeah, if you guys didn't know there was a Smokey and the Bandit 4, fucking hold on to your hats and go check that shit out for shits and giggles. You'd be surprised.
Well, and there's actually a better Cannonball movie or a movie about the actual Cannonball.
Let me guess. Gumball Rally.
Yes. Gumball Rally with oh God, I can't even remember his name. Well, Raul Julia was one of the drivers. And the other was a Carradine, wasn't it? Or maybe not a Carradine. Gumball Rally. 1976, so it came out before Cannonball. Oh, Michael Sarrazin. Michael Sarrazin was the other main character. But there was a bunch of people in it. Gary Busey was in it.
Okay.
It was actually a good movie and more accurate to the actual, like, the purpose of the race.
Right. I like that one.
Yeah, it's a real good one. It's got a great scene between Raul Julia and Michael Sarrazin. Sarrazin's driving a 66 Cobra, like a real Cobra.
Right.
And Raul Julia is driving I want to say 71 Ferrari 365 GTB Spider, or not GTB, but a GT Spider. And those two cars, this was back in 76 when those cars were not necessarily a dime a dozen, but they were pretty cheap compared to now. Like, you can't touch a real Cobra for, if it's got any provenance to it, under $500,000.
Right.
The Ferrari, there was only like 14 or 15 Spiders ever made. So that thing's like through the roof, millions of dollars.
Right.
And they were both real cars in the movie. Like, they were not clones or replicas or anything like that. They were actually a Ferrari and a Cobra, and they raced them down the viaduct in LA.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a trippy scene because they're having a blast doing it. Like, they're both laughing their asses off.
Right.
And they're just hauling ass down the viaduct.
The old man says in 1944, the U.S. Army had a Waterland unit called the Weasel. The Germans turned the V-Dub into a Waterland scout car.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, old man. That's a Wow, I had no idea. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, and also back then, not all Jeeps were made by Willys.
No.
Right.
Like the original manufacturer was Willys, but during the war, the contract went out to all manufacturers because they wanted to ramp up production and get going.
Mhm.
And so you have certain Jeeps that are produced by Ford, certain Jeeps that were produced by GM, certain Jeeps
Right.
were produced by Chrysler. They all had the contract.
Mhm.
And you have to, like, if you set two of them side by side, they both look exactly the same, but there's just ever so slight differences between the Ford, the GM, the Chrysler, and the Willys. But yeah, I've seen there's a guy on YouTube that has one of the original Ford Jeeps,
Ooh.
and he's in Europe, and it's like World War II, spot on accurate. It is
Right.
an original World War II vehicle that's been restored. And like one of his videos I watched, he's like, this is how you have to drive an early Jeep, because they weren't what you're used to now, as you know, if you bought a Wrangler or whatever.
Right.
Like to get it into reverse and to get it into first is like this whole fucking ordeal.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of fun watching him tootle around in a fucking Jeep that, you know, its max speed was like 50 maybe.
Yeah, the old man says Ford produced the most, and Ford stamped Ford on the back fender. That's why
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Was the difference.
Yeah, there were distinct little bits about, you know, each one that were enough to, you could trace it back to the manufacturer.
Mhm.
Huh.
But the ones that are worth the most are the actual Willys
Right.
ones, because Willys wasn't a big producer of vehicles at all.
Mm.
So the numbers for the Willys version of the Jeep are super low.
Mhm.
Well, tell you what, fellas, if you want, we can wrap this up, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we're at a good place.
yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. But Facey says there was another set of Bandit movies with a different actor altogether, and he was one of the baddies in the 18 movie. Also, the 77 Bandit Trans Am is my second favorite car of all time.
Yeah, I remember that. That was around the time that you had like a resurgence of the Bandit, which was in a modern Trans Am, like a Gen 4 Trans Am.
Right.
You also had a really bad remake of Knight Rider.
Mhm.
Oh, I
There's
remember
been
that.
no, I'll say that there's been a number of those.
Oh,
But
yeah,
there
it
was
was,
one where he drove. Wasn't there also a Bandit one?
Yeah, and
Where he
for
he
Knight Rider,
drove,
wasn't there like a teen Knight Rider or some shit?
Yeah, Team Knight
Yeah,
Rider.
there was a younger guy, but that was even before when they went to the Mustang.
Mhm.
But there was also a Bandit one where he was driving it was the Dodge that Chrysler had in production with Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi, it was the 3000 GT.
Mhm.
For Chrysler, it wasn't the Conquest. Maybe it was a Conquest. Hold on. But yeah, it was a black version of that car. The 3000 Stealth. Yeah, it was a Dodge Stealth.
Stealth. Yeah.
Yeah. Which were prominently in red. Most of them were red or white, but black was also available. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a TV show. It wasn't a movie.
Right.
And yeah, he drove around in this Dodge Stealth that had gold pinstriping on it.
Yeah, it was Knight Rider 2000.
Yeah, Knight
But
Rider.
no, that was the other one, Knight Rider 2000. Yeah, that was a 4th gen Firebird.
Okay.
And yeah, they did both a kit and a car version of those.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were all failed reboots.
Yeah.
I had hope for the was it Knight Rider 2? Was it 2000? It was
It
newer
was
than that.
2000, yeah.
But no, there was a Knight Rider 2000, but then there was a newer one that used the Shelby GT 500 as the kit in the show, and it only lasted like it's a handful of episodes. Like it never got past the first season.
Yeah.
But it was cool because they took, the prominent red LED light at the front of kit and put it in the hood scoop of the GT500 on both sides. So it had two of them going in and out, back and forth. And it was hidden within the nostrils of this hood scoop. So it looked really cool. When it turned on, you can see these little red lights going back and forth in the hood scoop. But yeah, it lasted maybe 4 episodes or some shit. It failed miserably.
Yeah, didn't do so well. And also the guy who played Kit in that series, he was actually like the spokes voice or whatever for GM. So they got rid of him because he was playing in a show that had a Ford product prominently.
Oh, shit.
Was that the remake or the original?
That remake one with the Mustang GT.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to say the original guy was who did the voice? William Daniels.
Yeah, William Daniels. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From Boy Meets World, huh?
Yeah, and also St. Elsewhere.
And go back
he just had a birthday.
He was in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think he's like 90 something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he's like 92, 93, some shit, and still married.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's born in 1927.
Holy smogolas!
Yeah, he's in the William Shatner club there of actors in their 90s.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
Tell you what,
Jesus,
I gotta get up and move, man.
Yeah.
It's not good for me to be playing it like this. But before I go, I just want to tell everybody thank you all for being here. Turk, Baron, thank you guys for being here with me, man. Couldn't do this without y'all. The chat, I appreciate everybody that has came, checked us out for a little bit or stayed for the whole duration of this. I appreciate everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a great time. I know I did, and I wish, this shit can last a little longer, but physically it's not good for me. So I'm going to get up and get to moving around. But, I had a great time. And even though we really didn't touch on none of the subjects, that shit don't even matter. This conversation alone was great. So, I appreciate y'all. And, I had a great time. So, tell you what, Barry, if you got anything coming up, let us know.
Not really, just Pop Talk on Sundays and Wednesdays at Pacific One Ford, of course, with you guys here.
All right, thank you for that, man. And New Bomb?
Just work.
I hear you. And right, well, and shit. As far as me, I'll be dropping videos and doing lives like I normally do. So, other than that, hopefully work doesn't take me away from too much when I start, at the end of the week. But other than that, man, I'm just excited. I'm glad to, for all of us to be back, and had a great time with you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday.
I'm looking forward to it as well. You're my therapy.
You know it, man. So, with that, we got New Bomb Turk, Baron Norman Tag. I'm your boy 24/7. We are the Primetime Kings of live stream. We love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Everybody that's checked this out, people that are catching the replay, thank you all. And you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your Mother's Day. And we are out. Peace, y'all.
See you.
Peace.
Peace.